Hello, it's Phillip Taylor from Richmond Green Chambers speaking. I'm looking at another book on the law of human rights. This is called The Law of Human Rights, and it's in a second edition by Clayton and Tomlinson. This is the book itself, a Flickr review there. The book is very heavy, it's well over 2,000 pages long, and that's volume 1, the main work. Volume 2 is actually much thinner. It's only about, let's see, 250 pages long. It has the Act and then the European and the international, in other words, United Nations papers that are relevant. This is the primary work, in my view, on human rights, and I'm not taking away anything from people like Lord Leicester, Lord Panic and so forth, with their excellent works also. But this was the first one, and I reviewed this book when it came out just after the Act was in force here in the United Kingdom, and I was a bit critical at the time. I still am critical of the Human Rights Act, and I described it was good in parts like the curate's egg. That was my original internet title. For this edition, which I've written with my wife Elizabeth, I've given it the title Treasuring Our Human Rights 10 Years On, because obviously we've got the anniversary. Our current Lord Chancellor, Jack Straw, very proud of introducing the Act and so forth. But we've obviously come a long way, and as we say, the first edition of this book was published in October 2000 when the Act came into force. Now, in sort of January 2009 onwards, it's high time for, as Lord Bingham says, us to have another edition, a second edition. And this is what we've got, and it's welcome. Certainly, one would concur and agree with editors Clayton and Tomlinson that over the past 8 years, the steady stream of human rights cases has become a torrent. Let's face it, we expected it. We expected it right at the beginning, but it took a bit longer. But we've had it, and obviously we've had changes that we as a society have had to come to terms with. The volume of case law particularly, and the range of issues covered by the cases has been immense. And the authors say that the task of keeping up with the new developments in Strasbourg is itself a daunting one, and they're right. It's something that all practitioners have quite an important role to perform in monitoring what is actually happening. And this work, I think, from Oxford University Press is certainly the best. I am impressed with it. As I say, it came first. But it's got its own way of doing things. OUP have paragraph numbers, which you can see, and lots of footnotes. So it's very much a standard format, which we've come to expect and love, of course, of OUP. But I'm delighted to welcome it again. I think no longer, say the authors, can the Human Rights Act be described as an exotic add-on, and they're right. Rather, it's an integral part now of domestic law and administrative practice, and that's how it's treated in this book, which is more than fulfills, in my view, the author's intention to provide a practitioner's textbook on the law of human rights in England and Wales. Now, obviously, my co-author and I, Elizabeth, we felt that human rights issues obviously should be regularly and frequently considered, obviously as a result of what the English courts hold at all their various levels, including the large proportion of cases now brought before the House of Lords. And we recognise the detailed scholastic effort that's been put in here. Obviously, there's no doubt it's going to occupy quite a lot of time in the new Supreme Court from October, and we will wait to see how that pans out. This is a lucid and authoritative work of scholarship, logically structured for ease of use, and as I said, you've got the paragraph numbers which assist it, and detailed footnotes, which of course are great if you're looking at that attention for detail that you need. The historic background of the Act, as well as the general principles under it, are clearly considered and discussed as well, and that's why that gives it gravitas, certainly in my view. Significantly, there are numerous, perhaps too numerous to discuss here, a lot of changes, obviously, which are taking place, but it's heartening to note that after 2 millennia of struggle in many forms and in many places, a corpus of human rights, equality, actually becomes applicable to all, and that's rather useful to see, because it's been established now, and we within the EU are the inheritors and beneficiaries of such a multiplicity of rights and freedoms which have been incorporated by the Act, including, as we know, the following. I'll just run through them so you remember them. Right to life and abolition of the death penalty, the right not to be subject to torture, freedoms from slavery, the right to liberty, freedom of thought, conscience and religion, freedom of expression, the right to education, electoral rights, freedom from discrimination, etc. Obviously that is things. We now have, of course, the new legislation covering race, sex, religion, age and disability, all brought together in this new piece of legislation. There are, of course, many other areas, but this new work, the new edition, actually builds very much on what was achieved basically just under 10 years ago. What the authors have tried to do, and they've actually succeeded here amply, is to cover some of the themes with respect to human rights, which are important both domestically and internationally. I'm conscious, obviously, that they are in the book, that there's no one title like this that can fully meet the expectations implicit in the title. It's a huge subject, and I think they've come up with a rather nice way. The heavy big volume, and then the actual Act itself, and the links to the European and UN human rights stuff too. So if you're a practitioner, a learner or a general reader seeking advice and practical guidance in any area really of human rights issues, you can treasure this book. That's what we feel. Its 2 authoritative and readable volumes are an essential addition to your library, so it treasures our rights after 10 years in action. And we look forward to what's going to happen in the future, because the law isn't going to stand still, and neither are human rights. Thank you very much. Bye bye.